Millionaire mocked the little girl, "Play and I'll adopt you," but her music left him speechless. The rain had just stopped when the city square filled with restless footsteps and tired faces, the kind of evening where people hurried past one another without seeing anything at all. In the middle of that noise stood a little girl with a broken violin and shoes 2 sizes too small, her fingers red from the cold and her eyes carrying a weight no child should ever know. Nearby, a luxury car gleamed under the streetlights, and beside it stood a man whose life had been built on money, power, and control. He glanced at the girl with amusement, tossed a careless challenge into the air, and walked away smiling, never imagining that within minutes, his entire world would quietly begin to fall apart. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a second to pause. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected moments, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. The little girl had been standing in that square every evening for weeks, not begging, not crying, just playing whenever her fingers allowed her to. The violin had once belonged to her mother, who had taught music at a small school before illness took everything away. Since then, shelters had become temporary homes, hunger a familiar companion, and silence her greatest enemy. Music was the only thing that made the world feel less cruel. When she played, she forgot the cold floors, the empty stomach, and the way adults looked past her as if she were invisible. The man who mocked her was known across the city as a self-made millionaire. He had built companies, crushed competitors, and learned early that emotions were weaknesses. His childhood had been poor, painful, and lonely, and when he finally escaped it, he locked that part of his heart away forever. To him, the girl was nothing more than another reminder of a past he despised. His comment had been meant as a joke, a moment of superiority, something to laugh about later over dinner. He never planned to stay and listen, but the girl did play. At first, the sound was soft, almost uncertain, as if she were afraid the world would interrupt her. The violin was old and cracked, yet the notes that emerged were pure and trembling with emotion. People walking past slowed their steps. A woman carrying groceries stopped. A bus driver leaned out of his window. Even the city seemed to hold its breath. The melody wasn't fast or flashy, it was slow, aching, and filled with longing. It carried the loneliness of nights spent awake, the fear of being forgotten, and the fragile hope that tomorrow might hurt a little less. The millionaire, already halfway toward his car, felt something strange pull at him. Against his will, he turned back. The sound reached places he thought had been sealed forever. Memories he had buried under success rose without permission, a small room, a broken radio, a mother humming softly to drown out hunger. His chest tightened, and for the first time in decades, he couldn't move. The girl played as if the world had finally agreed to listen. Her eyes were closed, her thin shoulders shaking, and every note carried more truth than words ever could. There was no anger in her music, no blame, only sorrow, resilience, and a quiet plea for understanding. Tears rolled down faces in the crowd. Strangers stood shoulder to shoulder, united by a sound that reminded them of their own forgotten pain. When the final note faded, silence fell heavy and sacred. The millionaire realized his hands were trembling. He felt ashamed, not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply, in a way that made his success feel suddenly meaningless. For years he had believed that survival meant hardening your heart. Yet here was a child who had lost everything and still chose to create beauty. He approached her slowly, no longer towering, no longer powerful, just a man standing before a truth he could not ignore. The girl looked up, expecting nothing, accustomed to disappointment. But something in his eyes had changed. He saw not a poor child, but a soul braver than his own. In the days that followed, the city talked about that evening. Videos spread. People searched for the little girl with the violin. The millionaire funded music programs, shelters, and scholarships, but those actions were only the surface of his transformation. He visited the girl often, not as a savior, but as a listener. He learned about her mother, her dreams, and the nights she cried herself to sleep while promising not to give up. Adoption was not an instant miracle. It required time, trust, and patience. The girl had learned not to believe in promises easily, and the men had to unlearn a lifetime of emotional distance. Slowly, walls came down. Laughter returned to rooms once filled with silence. Music echoed through a home that had known only emptiness. What began as mockery ended as redemption. The millionaire discovered that wealth could not heal wounds, but love and humility could. The little girl discovered that sometimes the world does listen, especially when you speak from the heart. Before this story reaches its final moments, please leave a comment below sharing what music means to you or how this story made you feel. Your words might inspire someone else who is silently struggling near the end of his life. The man would say that the greatest investment he ever made wasn't a company or a deal, but the moment he stopped walking away and chose to listen. And the girl, now grown, would play that same violin on stages around the world, carrying with her the memory of a rainy evening when her music changed not only her fate, but a broken man's heart. If this story touched you, if it made you feel something real, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps these stories reach hearts that need them most.